So today, or last night if you're from America, I was lucky enough to commentate the CelioStats 2 tournament held by Limitless.com. Thank you very much to Luke from Celio's network for running that particular tournament. If you want to check out his channel, it is down in the description. Whilst you're there, leave a like, that would be fantastic. And the winner of that tournament was Stephane Ivanoff with his single Strike Urshifu deck. It's so powerful, it's able to take knockouts on almost anything in the game, and thanks to the brand new Umbreon VMAX, it has the opportunity to use Gust as well as a draw supporter in the same turn. So we're going to jump across to PTCGO now and check out Umbreon VMAX in single Strike Urshifu. So single Strike Urshifu has obviously existed before. It's a very powerful archetype, but thanks to the addition of Umbreon VMAX, this deck has just that little bit extra power that could potentially put it across the line. So I'm going to talk about Umbreon first. Let's have a look at this beautiful card. Umbreon VMAX has the ability Dark Signal, which allows you to bring a Pokemon from your opponent's bench into the active for no cost. All you need to do is evolve an Umbreon V into an Umbreon VMAX. It also has Max Darkness, which deals 160 damage, which is, you know, it's bearable. You can definitely utilize that attack. The thing that's really good about it is that if you can power Umbreon up, you'll actually be taking one-shot knockouts on two of the biggest decks in the standard format right now. That is Dragapult VMAX and Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX. Both very powerful. This card will knock them out in one shot. Obviously, that is not our only attacker. We also have single Strike Urshifu VMAX, which is super, super strong. In fact, it's one of the only Pokemon in the game that can one-shot a VMAX without weakness. Gmax One Blow does 270 damage for 4 energy, but obviously when we stack the value of our single Strike energy, no, that's a capture energy, of our single Strike energy on top of that, then we get an extra 20, and for every one of these, we can deal that little bit of extra damage. If we get 4, then we're going to be able to deal 360 damage, which is more than enough to take a one-shot on any VMAX in the game. Now, obviously, the deck only works because of Single Strike Raw Houndoom. This card is critical to get in play as soon as you possibly can. It allows you to accelerate your Single Strike energy to your Single Strike Pokemon, which means that you can get your Umbreon or your single Strike Urshifu powered up in a single turn. The deck itself is super powerful and it has the ability to come back from behind quite regularly, so we'll take it across onto the ladder of PTCGO and see if we can't get ourselves a good game with it. Alrighty, it's game time and we've got ourselves an Umbreon V in the active. This hand isn't terrible, but it's definitely not good actually looking at it. We've got a Quick Ball and we've got a single Strike energy. I'm going to get rid of the Tool Jammer here to grab ourselves a single Strike Urshifu. We've got a Zacian V from our opponent in the active, which means that we could potentially be seeing a Zacian Zamazenta list, which would be quite difficult to deal with. We've drawn some extra cards using Tower of Darkness. That discards single strike cards to draw 2 extras, and we've not managed to find anything particularly strong here. We at least have the benefit of knowing that it is going to be very difficult for our opponent to get a knockout on our attacker this turn. That Urshifu should be safe on the bench. We'll wait and see. Obviously, Zacian can power itself up relatively quickly, so you never know, but I wouldn't expect it to go down this turn. Now, we are playing up against Zacian V. Zacian V and Zamazenta V in the same deck are incredibly popular at the moment. They have a very, very good matchup against a lot of things in Standard, but to be brutally honest, we actually have a solid matchup ourselves. If we are able to get a single Strike Urshifu VMAX into play, we can one-shot Zacian. Obviously, that is going to be a good thing, but our single Strike VMAX actually hits through Zamazenta's ability, which means that they cannot wall us using Zamazenta, which I think is a really, really good thing. Now, our opponent has managed to grab that Zamazenta out. They've got a Zacian on the bench. They've also got multiple energy in the discard pile, so throughout the next couple of turns, they are going to be able to use Metal Saucer to get themselves powered up. Cape of Toughness is another one of those cards that is really, really strong. We don't have a huge amount going on in our current hand, so I think it's probably going to just be a Marnie here. It seems so wasteful, but I think we have to do it. We need to try and get ourselves some Houndour. If we don't get too many of them down, it is going to be a genuine struggle to win this game, and I'll throw it out here. This is not a good hand at all. We've managed to find another V, which is acceptable, but I mean, we are in real trouble now. Our opponent Zacian can easily come up and knock out the Umbreon, which I'm not a massive fan of. Looks like the metal sources are in hand, and they're going to actually attach to the Zamazenta here, which is a little bit of a risky option. Definitely workable. As long as they don't, like, switch and knock out our Urshifu with the energy attached, we should be fine. Looks like they're going to research, so no risk of that happening just yet, I don't think. But I mean, if we don't get ourselves going soon, then we're going to be in genuine trouble anyway, so definitely going to need to work a little bit harder on this one. They're going to draw a few more cards. Primate Wisdom, a very powerful ability in this Zacian deck, able to stack their metal energy on top of the deck to guarantee that Intrepid Sword energy attachment. We have ourselves a Houndoom, which is fantastic, and we've top-decked into the VMAX. I like the idea of evolving here. If we are able to get a energy attachment and a switch, we could potentially knock out this Oranguru, which would be okay. I'd be happy with that. We use the Single Strike Raw and then the Marnie, and we're looking for energy and switch. No switch yet, but we do have Capture Energy to get the extra attachment. And then we can probably use Tower of Darkness, frankly. That would probably be a good idea. We'll grab another Houndour with that Capture Energy. We can throw down this tower, I think. Yeah, we can probably do that, because, I mean, we can get rid of the Houndoom or the Urn. There's no real risk. As long as we have extra Urns throughout the game, we should be fine. We'll get rid of the Houndoom. No switch. I think we're going to Quick Ball. Let's get rid of this Evo Incense and find ourselves Crobat here to draw extra cards. Hopefully the switch comes out of these four. If it does, then we're okay. And we get it off of the last one, which is really good. Okay, so we're going to switch into our Single Strike Urshifu, and then we can beat down for 140 damage. That will take a knockout. Weakness makes it 280. Obviously, the 140 comes from the 2 Single Strike energies that we have on our active, which are very, very powerful. Now we are in a really pretty solid position here. We can G-Max 1 blow to take a knockout on a 2-prize Pokemon. To be honest, I think I want it to be the Zamazenta, so this turn, if we can, I want to use the Umbreon VMAX to gust up that Zamazenta, bring it into the active so that we can knock it out with G-Max 1 blow. But our opponent has identified that that is what we're likely to do, so it's a little bit rough. We lose the Umbreon, but you know what? We can't win them all. Okay, so our opponent is doing a pretty good job here of making us work. We've got ourselves a couple of Houndoom. We are going to be able to take a knockout on this Zacian with G-Max 1 blow. Let's just have a look. Do we have extra energy in the... Yes, we do. Okay, so 2 Urns. We have 2 energy. So I think we're going to Single Strike Raw twice. This is a very risky play here, by the way. We're going to attach 2 Single Strike energy to our benched Urshifu. Will attach to the active, and then I'm going to hold this hand. I don't want to play a supporter. I'm going to knock out the Zacian. We'll discard all of the energy off of our Urshifu and take 2 prizes, and as long as our opponent doesn't get a knockout on our benched Urshi, we should be okay to try and win this game. Obviously, it's not quite ideal. We are in a bit of an awkward spot, and if they do take 2 prizes on the Urshifu, then I don't know if we can actually win. It's going to get very, very tough if they do knock out that Urshifu. But you know what? It's definitely doable because Urshifu VMAX is so strong. An incredibly powerful card in the standard format at the moment, and made even more powerful by the fact that a lot of decks just cannot keep up with the speed of Urshifu VMAX. It's very, very powerful at the moment. Now, our opponent, their entire hand, what? Okay, so they had Boss's Orders in hand. So the thing that I said that I didn't want to happen happened. Okay, so we are now behind. We are now behind, and we are struggling. How do we get ourselves a win here? They only have 2 cards, so the likelihood of them getting out of the active with this Zacian is pretty low. I'm going to grab another Houndour here, because we may need to accelerate a ton of energy next turn. I'm going to use Urn of Vitality to put a couple of those Single Strike energies back. That's why we were holding the hand in the first place. And then we will use our Single Strike Raw before we use our Research. We will put them all onto the active, so 2 Single Strike energy onto the active. and then we can research. Now, we're not going to be able to knock the Zacian out this turn, but if we find an energy, which we have, we can at least put a little bit of pressure on. We can half hit this Zacian. Our opponent cannot get out of the active unless they get a switch off of the prizes, which is super unlikely. We are going to beat down here. We're going to deal 140 damage to the Zacian, and then hopefully they just pass. We get ourselves another attack. We knock out the Zacian, and we go from there. Obviously, not going to happen now that I've mentioned it, and we're getting Marnied as well. So they have literally everything that they need. They're just constantly on top of us here. Okay, let's see if I can work back into this one. Let's see. We've managed to get the Umbreon VMAX off of that Marnie, so we could Gust next turn. That would be pretty good. We've got the single strike energy, so we can attach that to the Urshifu, knock out the Zacian if we'd like. We can knock out the Zamazenta as well. All definitely options. I don't know, actually, that we are going to need to go through the Zamazenta, though, because our opponent does have an Oranguru on the field. So hopefully it's as simple as gusting that Oranguru out at some point and knocking it out. They're going to switch here into the Zamazenta and Assault Tackle. It's actually quite annoying. They're going to be able to discard some of my energy. Probably a single strike energy going into the discard pile, which means that we are not likely to be able to G-Max one blow here. In fact, if we do, we lose the game because we have 140 HP left. So I think what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to knock out this Zacian. We have been lucky. We've been given a boss's orders, so we can use that as well as our Umbreon here. We have one single strike energy in the discard pile. I think we're fine. Hey, let's use boss to knock out this Zacian. I don't know. Can they get anywhere? We can knock out this. We're just going to knock out the Zacian. We can beat down onto the Zacian. And then hopefully our opponent cannot deal 140. So we take the knockout. Zamazenta attacks for 130. And I mean, they're going to discard an energy. We need 2 energy to take the knockout on the Zamazenta. Oh boy, this is tough. This is going to be real difficult, to be honest. Because we cannot use our Houndoom's ability to accelerate energy to Urshifu when this Zamazenta hits into us. We're going to end up on 320 HP if they do elect to hit into the Urshifu, which means we can never accelerate any energy from Houndoom, because when we accelerate from Houndoom, we have to do 20 damage to the Pokemon that we attach to, which will obviously be an issue because we can't deal extra damage to ourselves, or otherwise we're gonna lose. So I don't know. We've got the Umbreon though, so we can always gust up the Oranguru. Maybe we just retreat off of the Urshifu and then use the Umbreon. We can accelerate to the Umbreon, maybe. I don't know. It's going to be tough. They get rid of the single strike energy. We top deck a Marnie, which is actually really good. We do have the Stadium in our hand, the Tower of Darkness, so we're probably going to throw that down. Let's single strike Roar and start attaching to this Umbreon, because that's going to be... Actually, we don't need to attack with Umbreon. We can just gust up the Oranguru and then... Okay, change of plan. We are going to draw a couple of cards with Tower of Darkness. If we find an energy, we're going to win the game. We found an energy. Okay, well, made that harder than it needed to be. Umbreon VMAX can gust up the Oranguru on the bench, and then we can use Beatdown to take the knockout on Oranguru. Well played, Doomsday. If you're watching, thank you very much. Appreciate that one. That was a really, really good game. In fact, I think it's so good that we're only going to do that one. Just a short video today. So there we have it, a fantastic deck. I don't need to grade this one for you. It's obviously good. A top-class player used it to win a tournament with over 500 people, so you cannot judge that as an average deck at all. If you've enjoyed this one, then please leave a like down below. That would be fantastic. Comment as well. Hopefully you've enjoyed the shorter video today. It's obviously been compacted a little bit, but you know what? I think it's definitely worth it, especially since I was able to show you a game where Urshifu came from behind. On Monday, or at least hopefully on Monday, I'm going to be having another crack at a character-based deck. It's either going to be Leon or Jesse and James, so check out that one. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're very close to 15,000, and I will see you next time for more from the Sableyes. Bye.